This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Well, she definitely inspires creativity as an art therapist. And today we are going to talk about a different way to give you inspiration to be creative. I don't want to hear from anyone. I'm not artistic. I can't draw. I can't paint. I'm not creative. Yes, we all are. We really are. Uh, Once we let ourselves loose and just enjoy it in the moment. But there's a lot that can be told from your creativity in terms of therapy and what's going on in your mind. Barbara Robertson, our professional of the year, back with us. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. How about yourself?
Real good. Real good. I'm intrigued. What do you got for us today? What's going to inspire us to be creative?
Well, what I came across going through some old papers and kind of trying to sort them out and see what was a keeper and what was a tosser, a number of poems that I have kept copies of that I've used in the past as kind of art prompts for clients in art therapy because poetry is another kind of branch of expressive arts. Poetry often uses metaphor or symbol to represent an experience or some insight about emotions or human nature or life or the world, whatever, your sort of broad subject is. And often they kind of bring to mind a vivid sort of imagery.
Hmm.
And you may have a brain that doesn't do imagery in pictures. May have a brain that does imagery in sound, in melody, or in kind of straight up sound, rumbling, or high-pitched whistling sounds, or the sound of chimes. However, your mind responds with some kind of sensory representation of what you're hearing. It's still a really valuable way to kind of understand a deeper facet of our life experience. So I'm going to share a few of these pretty short poems that I have run across either from well-known poets like Rumi, who is an ancient, I think, Persian poet from, I should have my facts at hand, but I don't. Several centuries ago in Persia, he wrote a lot about human nature and life and seemed to have a deep understanding of the psyche. And then people who just posted their poetry on internet sites, on Substack, perhaps, and I'll share their names with you if I have them. And so that's kind of where I'd like to dive in today and just invite you to notice what your imagination is offering you in terms of what that poem is conveying to you.
Now, are you saying that we may want to listen to the poem and think what we would create?
I think that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is just to notice what is coming up sort of spontaneously or voluntarily within your own kind of thought process. In other words, don't listen as if you are about to try to solve a problem. Listen and just experience what happens.
So, need to ask with what you're going to read, is this pretty much random where you feel that's a nice work of art and creativity in poetry, or are these cherry picked because they could be pressing buttons within our mind?
Well, I think they are kind of cherry picked because they're relevant to facing emotional challenges.
Okay,
And
interesting.
that is the material that people come into therapy with. They're having an experience that is lighting up a certain bank of emotional light bulbs on the light bulb spectrum, on the emotion spectrum, and it kind of don't really have a clear sense of what to do with them or what to do about them or if there's anything to do.
I think this is even cooler, if you will, that these are designed for us, you know, or you picked them, um, you cultivated them for a reason, you know, so that makes me want to even dig deeper into it within my mind.
Well, just and in terms of how I picked them, I picked ones that spoke to me
Okay.
as a therapist. So I was kind of listening to what happens in me as I experience this poetry where I first encountered it. And
Hmm.
if something chimed in a way, I was talking about sounds before, if something resonated or chimed or sort of hit that. Sometimes I have this imagination image of a tuning fork within each of us, and certain sounds are going to make that tuning fork vibrate because they're on the same wavelength. And we talk about it. Oh, yeah, we're on the same wavelength today, aren't we?
Like literally, like
Literally.
literally.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I'm visual in my mind, but I think in music. And there's a song by Van Morrison, came out in the early 80s. He released it as a hit. It wasn't a big hit, but I love the song. And it's called Wavelength. And he uses the song or the analogy to radio
Ah,
wavelength, but it's
yeah.
also about your wavelength and mine. That's part of the lyrics, your wavelength and mine.
I'm gonna have to
And
look that up.
yeah, I like that song. I try to factor out the fact that I, you know, done radio forever, but there's even some, and people wouldn't even know this, but you know, I hear part of the lyrics. I hear Voice of America calling. Voice of America is a shortwave broadcast heard around the world where it's, you know, America broadcast and to our troops. And, you know, it was big many decades ago, but it's all about being on the same wavelength, i.e. the same page. So,
Right?
what's our first one? What are we digging into here?
Okay, so the first one I'm going to share with you is by Rumi.
Okay. How do you spell that, by the way?
Rumi.
Got it. Okay.
I like it because it's one of the simplest spellings in the world. And it looks just like it sounds,
Yep.
unless I'm mispronouncing it. I don't know. Anyway, the poem starts, this being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Interesting. So I don't have visuals on it yet.
Okay,
The door thing certainly, but I absolutely have thoughts on it.
so what's coming up for you?
The things that challenge us, meet them with positivity. Again, you know, somebody
Yep,
shows up at your door, might not be your favorite person in the world, but hi, how you doing? Come on in. Come on in. But authentically doing that. And they were sent there for a reason. So these things
yes,
that are showing up for you, um, you know, these things that challenge you, that show up at the quote unquote door, they're showing up because they need to show up. And I've often heard that the things that we need to heal from show up. So if there's, you know, that thing that's the, you know, nagging at you and it's just bothering you, there's a reason it's showing up because your subconscious is saying, I need some help over here, and that's why I'm bringing that to you. So that's what I get, you know, in terms of the universe of these things showing up at the door. That's how I interpret it initially. What do you got?
so what I noticed really primarily is that the ones that he describes coming to the door are things that we usually try to shut out. I
Okay.
mean, picture meanness and malice and shame, depression. a dark thought knocking at our door, and then imagine yourself kind of trying to look through the blinds or shift the curtains just a little bit to see who it is because you don't want to give away that you're in there.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
these are sort of, these are the bad guys. So you don't want to, you don't, your first inclination is not to open your arms wide and say, "Hello, mean thought. How are you? Where did you come from?" But I ran across another thing that helped me reframe that. And this was another Facebook post from tinybuddha.com. If anyone wants to look that up, Brianna Wiest, Wiest, wrote this one. And so the last sign is talking about how each of these experiences has been sent as a guide. So she says your anger, it's telling you where you feel powerless. Your anxiety, it's telling you that something in your life is off balance. Your fear is telling you what you care about. Your apathy, it's telling you where you're overextended and burned out. Your feelings aren't random, they're messengers. And if you want to get anywhere, you need to be able to let them speak to you and tell you what you really need.
I'm going back to what I said before, a piece of it in that the stuff comes up because it needs to come up.
Right. Yes, it needs you to discover, where do you have agency? You feel powerless, but where might you have a chance to use your voice?
Mm. And even interesting line there with apathy and things like that. Many of us might look at it as, or look at somebody else who's that way. Like, look at them. They're just lazy. Like, they don't want to do anything, whatever. They're not dealing with it. But there may be a reason they're
Yeah.
stressed out and burned out and can't.
Yeah. They're underwater. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
just trying to kind of keep the head above water often enough to get some air sucked in. So they don't have a lot of bandwidth to do much else. Yeah, that's exactly right. And if you think about the word emotion, the word motion is in that word. It's the majority of that word. So we're talking about movement when we talk about emotion. And it's interesting, sometimes when something really kind of touches our heart, we say that we were really moved by that. Often music,
Wow.
moved by that piece. It was so moving what that speaker said. But the motion is there because emotions are clues to whether our system feels that this experience is something we want more of, so we want to approach, or something we want less of, so we want to avoid in the future.
Wow. I never thought of that being moved by something. Yeah, where did that term come from? What the heck is that? Where that even like what are you even talking about? Where that again?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, I think it came from, ancient human experience.
So there's back to music again. My brain always goes there.
Uh-huh.
Um, there's a song by, and I'm looking up see if I could find the lyrics. It wasn't a big hit. Um, yeah, here we go. It was the lead singer of the group The Cars, Rick
Oh, yeah,
Ocasek, and
sure.
he did a solo project in the mid 80s and it was called Emotion in Motion.
Cool.
And I was just looking at the lyrics here. Your emotion in motion, my magical potion, your emotion in motion to me. I would go anywhere to meet with you. That's just about anywhere for one rendezvous. And it goes on, but basically, you know, talking about what we're talking about in terms of the emotions always moving.
Yeah, yeah. And
Isn't
talking about wanting to sort of keep up with what the emotion has to share with us.
exactly. Um, do you feel that emotion is energy?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel like we experience it as energy or as lack of energy. I mean, Depression, for example, is not as much sadness as it is a loss of vitality in
Well,
a
well, back
state.
to what we said before, the apathy, that could be the
Exactly. Yeah.
apathy toward life in general. And
Toward,
and why? You may be overloaded. And I'm not just talking about stresses of work, family, blah, blah. There could be other stuff going on that you just can't process. So you just like pull back.
yes, exactly. And I think that's something that happens often with early trauma, whether it's something that anyone else would recognize as trauma or whether it's something that just happened to overwhelm your particular ability to cope on that particular day.
Yeah.
Trauma is basically defined by how badly overwhelmed you were, not by what exactly happened. And usually we get overwhelmed, especially when we're very young people, when we don't have an adult who is open and attuned to us to help us understand the meaning of what happened.
Hmm.
And so it's an experience that goes unprocessed. And also, when we're very young, we tend to see ourselves as the complete agent of the universe because we don't know that other people and other events also make things happen. We haven't gone that far in our exploration yet. We just really, in the first 5 years, kind of becoming aware of what it is we are.
Yeah, I never thought of that, where the stuff that you dealt with as a kid, nobody explained it to you.
No, no, no. More now, I think, than before. Like I've seen my son-in-law when his 3-year-old daughter, my granddaughter, she's so passionate. She'll just get so worked up about something, and he'll just crouch down so he's eye to eye with her, and she's just in this mood of despair, and he'll say, "You're really disappointed that I'm not going to let you watch TV right now." I mean, that moment has really distilled itself into my brain as wow, that's what I wish I had known when I was a parent of a young child. And she calmed down right away because she felt seen, heard, and understood.
Just a different way to frame it. I remember my daughter was 13. She's now 17. And, tough to talk to teens sometimes. And a lot of parents gravitate toward the, how was your day? Fine.
Yeah,
What'd you do today? Nothing.
right.
So I flipped it, and I forget where we were, but I said, what's it like to have the most beautiful hair of any girl on the planet? And right away, she's like, well, I use this conditioner and I use this one and I'm using, this gel and blah, 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 blah. And it was just a different way to, open the door to conversation.
It's also so lovely because among the many women, especially that I've worked with, and I'm thinking as much in the recovery world as in, just kind of therapy for general life challenges, but so many women will deny a compliment applies to them.
Well, yes. And a lot of us do that. I do the same thing. Somebody may say to me,
Yeah.
because we don't know how to accept it. We don't know how to say just those two words, thank you. So how many times somebody says, "Hey, that's a really nice shirt you have on there." Well, thanks. It's old. I found it in my closet, or
We want to downplay it, don't we?
yeah, I
Yeah.
bought it at Marshall. It was only $12, but
Right.
yeah, we
Right.
downplay it.
Right. I'm not sure I've ever really quite wrapped my head around why that is, but
I'm going to say why.
okay. Tell me.
We don't feel like we deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah. We are almost always our own worst critics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Mm.
true. And that brings me to the next thing that I want to share with us all today.
Sure.
That is a prompt to an art therapy group about having an ally. And
Hmm.
so first we talk about what is an ally. And several points that I wanted to make sure we touched on is that an ally is not someone who does the work for you and is not someone who controls how others interact with you or what events happen, but instead believes in your inner goodness, helps you feel strong enough because they have faith in you, helps you believe in yourself again because they believe in you and they can convey that almost as contagion. Well, borrow some of my confidence if you don't have enough.
Hmm.
Helps helps you think positive. You know, is there a different spin you could put on that story besides he must hate me because he didn't text me back in 10 minutes? You know, I mean, are those realistic expectations? What if what if he's getting lectured to by his mom or dad? Or what if he's trying to help his grandmother at the grocery store? He's not going to be able to text you back. Let's think about something that's, also equally positive. So your brain doesn't go straight to, I don't deserve him to text me. And so he must not be texting me because I want him to, and he's not gonna.
Well, therein lies the what ifs. The
Yeah.
what if. What if this? What if that? Hmm.
Now I can help you use your power well. And it can be, so this is kind of the art prompt, any shape, size, or form you imagine. So the idea is to come up with your own personal version of an ally. So it might be a little bit related to Native American spirit creatures, where they see a particular sort of animal or living thing that exemplifies a kind of strength that they recognize they would like to grow into.
Are you
So,
suggesting that I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, no, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah,
are you suggesting that it's reasonable to imagine an ally?
absolutely. And here's why.
Hmm.
This is so amazing. I really can't get over it. Our nervous system cannot tell the difference between an imagined situation and a real situation in the physical world. So, if we can imagine the presence of an ally, even if we've made it up from scratch, and we feel that ally's power to encourage us instead of putting us down or discouraging us like our inner critic often kind of can do, our nervous system will respond differently to an ally saying, "Oh, come on, you can do this," than to a critic who says, "Man, you better not stick your neck out and do that. Everybody's going to laugh at you."
Yeah,
I mean,
but
can you?
my ally said I got it. So
Exactly, exactly. And can you feel the difference when I said those two different things? I sort of felt myself clench when I did the imitation of the inner critic.
yeah, it was just not pleasant. Whereby we're
Oh,
talking about somebody that's supporting you. Meet my friend, the coffee cup. This is my ally. I'm going to say to them now, they have faith in me. They, it could be anything.
awesome.
Could be this marker. You know what
So,
that reminds me of? Just almost out of time, but it popped in my head. It's called the 17-second rule or 17-second technique,
okay.
where you think of a moment in your life, could be when you went on vacation, just something that was just wonderful, and that positive feeling you had. What did that feel like? Visualize it, think about it, and do it for 17 seconds. And it will start permeating all the other areas in your life. And if you can go back to that 17-second moment more often, things will be better. Like imagining an ally. They're not really there.
Yes.
You're not really at the beach on that vacation like you were 5 years ago, but you remember the feeling and just hold that.
Yes. Yes, yes. In fact, that's very much like a conversation I had recently with someone who was really feeling like she needed to get back out and kind of connect with the world and start being more active. She'd been kind of overwhelmed and burned out and just kind of hunkering down for a while. And so we were talking about things that she had done that she really found kind of outstandingly enjoyable. And one of them was rock climbing in the gym. And she said it was actually terrifying. But once I started, I had this compulsion to keep going until I got all the way up. And then I had this compulsion not to just rappel down, but to climb back down because I had made it all the way up. And she said, it actually felt so good. And we talked about doing exactly that with it at times when she is feeling like overly stressed and she would like her nervous system to let her unclench and breathe a couple of times, to just take a moment and go into that rock climbing experience and just feel the feelings that came with it.
Hmm.
And that can really vividly help your nervous system reset to back to, oh, I'm safe. Yeah, I'm doing something that's challenging and I'm doing it. And often we forget to end the story with, and I'm doing it. We get stuck on the, this is a scary thing to do. And we don't quite add at the end of the story, and I did it.
Well, yeah, back to the fundamental we've talked about before. We just want to feel safe. We want to feel safe. There's another thing I heard. I just repeat stuff from others, like you. I'll share it with other people. Um, these three sentences, say them all together. I am not my thoughts. I'm not my emotions. I'm safe in this moment.
Yes. Yep.
This kind of changes the narrative in your mind that yeah, hey, we're good. You know, this stuff's going in my head. That's not me. That's not me.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah. Yeah. And you really, those will work much better if you allow yourself to feel the feelings that those sentences deliver.
100%. Yeah.
Yes,
You can't
because
just say them. You got to feel them. Thank you for saying that.
you can stay in your head and you can go, yeah, I'm not my thoughts, but my thoughts take over all the time and they just run my life.
Right.
Then you're like, you lost it. Oh no. You
I
know,
was in a situation last year where and don't even get into the details, but there was
yeah.
something, and I was saying that in my mind, but I was believing it. I am not my thoughts. I am not my
Yes.
emotions. I'm safe in this moment. And it worked. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
It worked.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
how do we work with you? What's your website? How do we connect?
So my website is Robertson Art Therapy LLC, just all strung together, spelled out .com. And there are ways to reach out to me on the website. You can send me a message that way, or you can email me directly at brobertson.atr@gmail.com. And I would love to hear from you.
I just sent you cartoons I did way back in the day so that you can analyze the warped mind that is Steve. Tell me what you think. Done very, very long time ago, but I'm actually still proud of them. I was in my low 20s when I did them. But I
Yeah.
look at them, I'm like, yeah, that was bad. I was a perfectionist, did it a million times to get it right. Didn't even
Yeah.
need to, but didn't know
Yeah.
that then.
Well,
Uh,
that's interesting because I brought one in today, a drawing that I did when I was maybe 25,
oh,
a colored pencil drawing, and I've kept it because there's something about it I like, but I kind of thought I would look at it as an art therapist.
that's interesting. You know what? Can we press pause there? And next time
Yeah,
we get together, can
yeah,
you bring that?
absolutely. In fact, I'll take a photo of it and email it to you so you have a chance
All right.
to.
All right. I'll email you. You email me.
Okay,
Awesome.
sounds good. Sounds
Always,
good.
this is, there's so much to be revealed in our creative side. Just get creative and reach out.
Right.
All
And if
right.
you don't think you're creative, remember you're creating your life every single day.
We're here for two reasons to create and learn. That's my belief.
That's right.
Mhm.
And express, I would add.
Yep. All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.